This is the Patriots Prayer Network, where truth matters.
The following is a presentation of AOW Productions.
The views and opinions expressed by the host of this program do not necessarily state or reflect those of this station or its management.
Every patriot has an obligation to question authority. Those who are honest are not concerned with your watchful vigilance, and those with integrity are not concerned with your discernment. Every American is obligated to voice their concerns and stand up for their freedoms and liberties.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are the men in the arena. We are the Patriot Confederation.
We will never back down from a fight. We're undefeated Americans.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Patriot Confederation for the 10th of December, 2024. Christmas very, very close, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. I'm your host, Bad Billy, out of Twin Falls, Idaho, joined by John Grosvenor out of Nashua, New Hampshire. What's going on up there?
Not a whole heck of a lot going on up here, Billy. You know how it goes. Just doing better than the Hawk girl.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, but Daniel Penny's riding high. Congratulations to him. And but my goodness, are we about to have a winter of love, because they are threatening with some rioting and what in a case like this, they're not going to walk away peacefully. So anyway, that's another story for another time. Joining us this week, of course, we are welcoming back Michelle Melendez out of Hawaii. Aloha, how are you?
Hey, aloha, everyone. So great to be back here, and I have some new stuff to share with you guys, and really excited to thank you for mahalo for this opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for reaching out and letting me know that there's some new stuff in the works. Especially, I think you said when you reached out, you said you have another book on the way, if I'm not mistaken.
I do, but I also have a second edition to Great Maui Land Grabs. Where can I go here? This is the book that I wrote, and it won third place in the American Book Fest under True Crime. Says it's called The Great Maui Land Grab: What Caused the Maui Fire and Is Your Home Next? This is a great book to give to any normie person who doesn't know what's going on but is questioning things. It went from 23 fire anomalies to 27 fire anomalies. Also, I've added in the St. Helene weather modification. There is an actual patent for a hurricane directing apparatus that not only directs hurricanes, but it also can increase the air mass of hurricanes and decrease. And that's also in the book as well. And the new edition. And there's also another part of the new edition also includes the mishandling of human remains in Lahaina, and the fact that the acting captain had zero mass casualty experience and was letting recruits pick up the human remains. So they actually were not experts on seeing what is normal and what is not normal, in my opinion, on that, but they were being picked up by people who are not experts in their field, and they did mishandle the human remains. They actually have that in their own Maui police reports. So that's also in the new edition.
Interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. By the way, the Great Maui Land Grab, if you know anybody who likes to collect books and read books, so that's a very good Christmas gift idea as well. So
And people can actually get it at greatmauilandgrabbook.com and put truth, TURUTH, truth in the coupon code, and you'll get 10% off.
awesome. Awesome. Yeah. We'll have to have you repeat that at the end of the show as well. But, I have never really fed into the idea of controlling the weather or anything like that. I've never really fed into that conspiracy theory. I'm not going to say I'm feeding into it now, but I've been doing a lot of thinking and a lot of wondering. We look at Hurricane Helene going over North Carolina and Tennessee. We're talking not going over beach property, which it's more inland. A hurricane's supposed to weaken as it goes inland, but this Helene stayed strong as it stayed inland and went into parts of Tennessee and North Carolina. We're talking the western part of North Carolina and eastern Tennessee, where it would normally rain, or you might get a little bit of strong winds, but this was bad.
Yeah.
And this was hitting areas where it should have been weak. And
You
it
are
wasn't.
correct. You are correct. Can I do a screen share and show you guys some things? Would that
Yeah,
be all right?
absolutely.
So let me show you this. So first, so that's the book. Here is weather modification. So look at the picture on the left. Can you guys see that? Is that coming up?
Hang on, I got to add it to the stage here so we can see it.
All right. Okay, how does that look? You guys got it? All right, looks like it's there. So on the left-hand picture is the in fact I'll keep it there. You see the clouds coming in linearly. Well, there's a weather modification apparatus. It's the HARP dome. There's a HARP dome, which is a high frequency auroral research project, and there's a HARP dome on Honolulu, Oahu, and there's a HARP dome on Hawaii, on the Big Island, and Maui sits right in between. And this HARP dome has the technology to heat up the ionosphere in the atmosphere and create these linear clouds. Now, what it does is it creates these linear clouds parallel to the subject of where it wants to change the weather. So it's literally parallel to Lahaina, and you see the clouds, the linear clouds coming in from the upper right, but they don't go past the islands. You see no linear clouds on the left. My friend who lived on Maui saw these clouds when he was on Maui. Another friend of mine who works for national security was flying over the clouds. She said she'd never seen anything like that in the numerous years that she's been flying all over the world. She said she saw square clouds, then blue sky, then square clouds and blue sky. Never saw anything like that before or since. This happened the day before the fire and the day of the fire. And then Hurricane Helene, these are blue frequency the transmissions. The green is the hurricane, and they literally this video by geoengineeringwatch.org with Dane Wigington showed how these blue frequency transmissions actually moved the hurricane up to North Carolina and sat it there. And I just want to show you guys this. I'm going to do this. Can you guys see that still?
Yeah, I see a page.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is weather.
Anybody watching this, of course, will most likely have to enlarge their screen to see it clearly, but yes.
Okay, Weather Modification Act of 1976. So this means the weather modification was happening way prior before, and it just says a review and analysis of research efforts and needs in weather modification technology. This was approved October 13th, 1976 through Congress. This is how many weather modification patents are there. This is a graph. Most of the weather patents started in, the first one was in 1891. Believe it or not, 1891. I'll show you that patent. The spike went into the 1970s, and the spike went again into the 1990s. More than 200 patents issued between 1890 and 2014. But after 2014, information on issued patents for the for weather modification hasn't been disclosed. So they stopped disclosing these weather modifications after 2014. This is the first weather modification patent was for rainfall in 1891. This is a patent for an apparatus, and it says an embodiment, circular polarized electromagnetic radiation is transmitted upward in a direction substantially parallel, that's the lines, to and along a field line which extends through the region of plasma. That's what happened in Maui. And I'm just going to do escape because I want to get to this one, which is, this is the hurricane and tornado control device patent. And this literally says a method is disclosed for affecting the formation and or direction of a low atmospheric weather system. Audio generators are positioned to project sound waves toward a peripheral area of a weather system. And that's exactly what Dane Wigington of the geoengineering was talking about. And it says the sound waves are generated at a frequency to affect the formation of the weather system in a manner to disrupt, enhance, or direct the formation. The sound waves can also be projected in a manner to cause rain. So I'll just stop there. But one thing I wanted to share too is that the fire, the wind in Maui went against the wind. The wind in Maui actually went in all four directions. It came down from the east, but the wind came down from the east. The fire went in all four directions. It actually jumped over a construction zone with 2x4s exposed, didn't touch the 2x4s, but then melted the cars in the next parking lot, leaving all the trees, all their leaves, all their branches, melted out the glass in the cars, melted their rims, and jumped again over a construction zone against the wind. So there was a lot of stuff that happened in Maui, that 27 fire anomalies, like I have in the book I have. But I'll just stop there, Billy. Mahalo for that.
No problem. Thank you for showing that. And we got about 3 minutes before we go to our first break, but there is something I'm wondering about. Since, I was born in 1974. Wow. I just said it too. Just gave away my age. But if anybody who knows anything about tornadoes knows 1974 was the year of the super tornadoes that happened. Of course, this happened about 6 months before I was born. They had major tornadoes, F5 tornadoes, especially that hit an area that I actually lived in. As a matter of fact, I lived very close to Xenia, Ohio for about 6 months before I moved up to Northeast Ohio. But, I was right there in the Dayton area. And those were some of the worst tornadoes probably of the 20th century, or at least of that time. Do you think it's possible that that outbreak of super tornadoes was some kind of an experiment based on everything you're talking about?
Well, the patent was issued in 2003, was when this patent for the hurricane and tornado control device was issued. However, there have been weather modification patents. Again, the first one was in 1891, and Bill Gates actually also has a patent with 12 other inventors for a hurricane taming advice, which also means it can enhance it, and that was in 2009. So I'm not sure, but it could be an experiment though, because to get a patent, you have to have an apparatus and you got to be experimenting with it. So who knows?
So, one thing you're validating though is that these ideas and some of this technology is a lot older than we think. Of course, a lot of people don't even realize, we think when was the internet first launched? And a lot of us are going to think maybe early to mid 90s. As I remember, it was like 95 when you started seeing web addresses on TV and all that. But the truth be told, on the internet, it was actually launched in 1983.
The military always has the technology years and years and years before us, and also I
Exactly.
feel that we don't understand the world we live in, because 1891 for the first weather modification to happen, I have a patent then, that's horse and buggy time.
When
So
you,
we really don't understand this world we live in.
when you say 1891, I know as early as 1946, but when you say 1891, the only thing I can think of for delivery system is a hot air balloon. So they must have had a tough time trying to do something back in the day.
Well, it was for producing rain. So who knows if they use the hot air balloon to go up there. But I also feel that this world is not what we think it is. Because I mean, these weather modification patents over 200 since 1891. It's quite amazing.
Yes. Well, we're at the first quarter, so we're going to take our first break, and we're going to continue this discussion when we come back in about 2 minutes. Please don't nobody go nowhere. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, joined by Michelle Melendez out of Hawaii, and this is by far one of the most interesting conversations we've had on the show, talking about stuff that this is a conversation I never expected to have, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, it's blown my mind. The research, again, my book, Great Maui Land Grab, it has over 200 resources in here. It have over 200 sources. I've gone to town on it because when the attack went down on Maui, it's important to know just not only what happened, but also who's going to gain from this. Who's going to gain? And I have some ideas about that from the research I've done.
Yeah. Oh, there's somebody who's going to gain something out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not going to be us if they're successful. Now, these are really evil, demonic people at work right now. So.
Absolutely. So can I share? Do you want me to share the direct energy weapons? Do you want me to share who's sticking? What works for you guys?
I'll bring it up for you here. Or there we go.
Oh, okay, great. All right. Well, let me go to. I'll just go quickly to the direct energy weapons. Let me go to the Direct Energy Weapons Acquisition Act of 2016. And you guys are seeing that. Okay, great. So there was a Direct Energy Weapons Act of 2016 and it literally states that the Committee of Armed Services of the Senate and the report accompanying this bill, since the 1960s, the Department of Defense had invested more than $6 billion in direct energy science and technology, but they couldn't bring the complete program to fruition. So Congress took it over. Your tax dollars helped to pay for the direct energy weapons to come to fruition, and I believe that is what happened in Lahaina. A few of the anomalies. This is a deceased person. This you can still see their corn rolls. The hair did, in fact, I'll just do this here. The hair didn't burn. You see the corn rolls in their hair, and they're either carbonized or charred in some fashion, but they're burned from the inside out. This toad was found in the burn zone, completely hollow, but the organic material didn't burn. And I want to share that they found benzene and toluene. Toluene is what dynamite is made out of. They found it in the drinking water, so they had to bring in fresh drinking water for Lahaina victims. This is a 5-mile dust screen that was put around the burn zone. They say because they didn't want toxins to go into the ocean, but a 12-foot, 5-mile dust screen around the complete burn zone. All those trees that you see, that's the burn zone. None of the trees burned. None of the leaves burned. They're all dried, but none of them burned. And I talked to a arborist who said that it was because the chemistry of the fire didn't recognize the organic material. So that's why the organic material didn't burn. trees. This is also in Paradise. This is also in Tubbs. This is the Tubbs fire. This is the Paradise fire. You see that all of the foundations of the houses are gone. The houses are gone, but the forest is still there. That's why they can't call it a forest fire anymore, you guys. They have to call it a wildfire because the forest doesn't burn with these fires. And Maui is happening right now. As Maui's burning, I'm sorry, Malibu. Malibu is burning right now, and I'm very curious to see what those pictures look like in that. And I'm going to stop it there. I want to go to the one patent that I believe is the reason why blue things did not burn in Maui is because it's a microwave transmission using a laser generated plasma beam waveguide that was made with a titanium sapphire infrared laser. What color is sapphire? It's blue. And the blue frequency in what I've researched, the blue wave, the blue frequency, anything blue in color would actually reflect the energy. It wouldn't absorb the energy and burn. This blue ticket was found in the white ash. They pulled it out of the ash. And these t-shirts on the upper right did not have any holes in them, no singe marks. The blue umbrellas that people have probably seen before, but nobody has seen this this stove because a friend of mine gave me this picture, and it's in my book. This blue, the
we're getting a little bit of echoing here. I don't know what's happening.
But the last thing I want to share is the direct energy weapon patents. So Raytheon has 124 direct energy weapon patents, Applied Material 120 direct energy weapon patents, MBDA, a European multinational corp, 64, Alphabet Inc., 62, and the Boeing company has 59 direct energy weapon patents. There are over 429 direct energy weapon patents today that we know about, that we can look up. So that is validated. And what's happening right now in Maui is it's still locked down, everybody. Lahaina is still locked down to this day. This is a photo of the nighttime with floodlights. You have to show a placard that you own property there, or you cannot be, they won't let you in. When they let you in, they tell you no pictures, no video. They are not allowing people still to take pictures or video. This is what it looks like, a drone footage. 14 months later, after the fire, 20 permits have been given after the year long of 2,200 homes gone. Only 20 permits. This is why it's called Great Maui Land Grab, my book, because it's a land grab. This is what's happening in Maui. They're holding out till the money runs out for people and they have to sell. What's happening right now with the land is it's completely covered in gravel, and this gravel, the homeowner is responsible for taking it out and of their home, of their foundation, and they're not telling them where to put it. So they have to take it out in order to rebuild, and they're not telling them where to put it, and they got to do it on their own dime, and it's everywhere. But that is 14 months. Did you guys see any construction happening there? No, you don't, because it's a land grab. It's an absolute land grab. So I just wanted to remind people, my book is called Great Maui Land Grab Book. You can get it at greatmauilandgrabbook.com. Put in truth, TRUTH, and you'll get 10% off. And I'll just give it back to you, Billy. And then the last thing that I'll share after the break is about who gains from this, because who gains, that's where you got to follow the money and really take a look at who's going to gain from all of this destruction.
Yeah, well, I find it rather interesting that you said no, nobody's allowed in if unless they own something,
Mm-hmm.
And what was it last year? The Biden administration offered the Maui victims $750 or $700, whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
the same amount
Yep.
that they're offering the victims of Hurricane Helene.
That's right.
While tax dollars continue to go to Ukraine in a war.
Billions.
billions that we don't even have any business in from where I stand. I don't, you know what? I don't care who wants to get in my face and tell me, oh, that's you know, that Ukraine is being bullied by Russia and we need to intervene. You know what? It's none of our business.
Well, here's why. Here's why that's happening, because those billions of dollars that go to Ukraine are coming back through contracts in the military industrial complex. BlackRock just got the, well, not just a few months ago, it got the contract to rebuild Ukraine. BlackRock, the largest, second or first largest investment company in America, in the world really, got the contract to rebuild Ukraine. So all those billions of dollars, it's laundering. All those, they're giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. Then the military industrial complex gets contracts. Now the billions of dollars goes into their pockets. So that's what's happening. That's why people are always going, why is billions of dollars? Why are we doing this? Because it's going into contracts coming back into the pockets of those investment companies, those big bankers who own these investment companies. That's the whole reason behind giving them billions of dollars. That and the different labs that are there that are in Ukraine that they're wanting to keep under wraps, but it's mainly because of the contracts that will be coming back, the billions of dollars going back into the pockets of the military industrial complex.
I mean, obviously the whole thing is set by design. When we look at inflation and all that, they're trying to run the economy into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're working on it on purpose. I mean, it's the whole process of destroy and rebuild in the way we want.
Yep, and I'll show after the break. I'll show you guys exactly how it's coming in. Because when I show you the map of Big Island and what they want to have happen in Big Island, it's going to shock you.
Oh boy, that's well. I'm gonna. With that said, I know it's about a minute and a half early, but we'll go ahead and take our bottom of the hour break because I'm anxious to see what this layout is supposed to be. So, with that said, we'll be back in about 3.5 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, joined by Michelle Melendez out of Hawaii. And oh boy, you say you've got something to show us. Let's see it.
All right, so let's go ahead and do that presentation again for my slideshow, or I can do it if
you'll have to. Yeah, you'll
okay.
have to share it.
I'll do share.
Yes.
Share screen. Here we go. All right, let me double check. You guys, are you guys seeing that?
All right, 1 second.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, so who gains from all this disaster? The renewable energy companies, you guys, in the stockholders that are invested in them. So these are the top 3 renewable energy companies in the world, and the largest stakeholders. Iberdrola is the #1 renewable energy company, and Qatar Investment Authority and BlackRock are the largest stakeholders. Qatar is actually a country right next to Saudi Arabia, and I'm going to explain what's going on over there. GE Vernova Inc., Vanguard, and BlackRock are the largest stakeholders. Nextera Energy Inc., Vanguard, BlackRock, the largest stakeholders. Vanguard and BlackRock literally pretty much own, especially BlackRock, pretty much own all the energy companies in the world, including Hawaii Electric Company. And Hawaii Electric Company there's a big old lawsuit right now because all the locals have been conned into believing it was an electric company that started the Maui fire when the electricity was turned off in the morning because there was a fire in the morning. There was a fire in the morning, all the electricity was turned off, the telephone poles were up, they were blocking the roads, and the fire chief finally had to admit that they were blocking the roads because so many people were giving testimony and complaining that they were blocking the roads. And he said, we had to block the roads because of the telephone poles. They weren't even down. There's a picture that shows all the telephone poles up. Anyway, what's going on with that lawsuit is people are going to get money from the Hawaii Electric Company that is owned by BlackRock. And then what's going to happen? The electricity bills are going to go up, everybody. And who's going to end up paying for them is themselves. So let me just tell you a little bit about Qatar. Now, Qatar, again, is the #1 largest stockholder in the #1 in renewable energy company. What's happening is Qatar is right next to Saudi Arabia. I'm just going to do this here. This is better to kind of see it a little bit better. It's right next to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is putting up the line, and it's a no roads, cars, or emissions. It will run 100% renewable energy. 95% of the land will be preserved for nature. People's health and well-being will be prioritized over transportation and infrastructure. That means more rules, more regulations, more freedoms lost. And then the line will eventually accommodate 9 million people and be built on a footprint of just over 21 square feet. This is what's coming for all of us, you guys. And let me just show you. Who owns most of the investment companies? It is the foreign bankers. The foreign bankers, where the Rothschild was the first banker in Europe for the king, the very first banker. He's also known as the Treasury for the Vatican. He also has the power and money over the city of London. And these bankers own most, if not, they have the biggest investments in BlackRock and Vanguard, as well as the military industrial complex, as well as the IRS, which is not part of the government. The IRS is actually in Puerto Rico. It's not even stationed in the United States of America. It's in Puerto Rico. And these bankers, they actually have the ability. They're the printing of the money. Our money printing comes from them. And that's based on 1913 when the IRS was put in place. And so these people are the ones that are telling the president, give billions of dollars to these companies because now we're going to be able to do contracts and bring the money back into their pockets. That's what's going on with that. I'm going to actually skip the Albemarle because that's for but Albemarle investors. Albemarle is a company that owns the lithium mine in Kings Mountain that will produce over 420,000 tons of lithium for the Defense Department, for energy. 250 million grants from the Department of Defense and Energy, and they want to produce 1.2 million electric vehicles per year. I do want to share something quickly about the electric vehicles because that's what is planned for the Big Island as well. They want to put charging stations all over the place and bring in all these electric cars. But here's the problem with these electric vehicles, and then I'll go back to talking about what's going on with Big Island. Show you guys the map. The shipping say that 70 fires reported 5 years on happening here. But we get food here on Big Island through cargo ships. That's how we get our supplies. And if they put these electric vehicles on ships, if they don't lash it down correctly, or if there's bad weather, the problem is these batteries, if they catch fire, this fire captain said it takes over 2 hours to put out a vehicle, electric vehicle fire, and between 2,500 to 25,000 gallons of water. I mean, these will, like, I can't even imagine this being in Hawaii. I just want to show you, these are electric vehicles. The picture on the left is somebody who had a rental electric vehicle in their car, in their garage, because their car was in the shop, and it burned down their house. They couldn't get the fire out. The middle picture is an electric Amazon Prime electric van that caught fire. And do you see that huge flame jet? And then on the right-hand side, 100% electric bus with those flame jets. That is because it's either the ion battery that is pushing out the flame, or the battery has gas in it, not liquid, but actually gas. And if it gets holes in it, it can actually make those huge flame jets. And this is what electric vehicles can do. And the last thing I want to share, especially because they want them to come here on the island, is that these batteries are toxic. You cannot put these batteries in a landfill. They actually, if anything happens with that battery and it cracks, it will spew toxic fumes. So I want to just share the plan. This is Rosa Corey. She went around to different city council places around the United States. I'm not going to share the video, but she actually talked about how the plan is coming through the planning department. The UN Agenda 2021 is coming through the planning department, and I can absolutely confirm this because I'm going to actually skip over that one because I want to go to the map of Big Island and show you guys this. This is our general plan, Hawaii General Plan 2045. Everything in blue, they want to turn into conservation. That's most of the island. And you can't see it, but on the very edge of the island, almost the entire edge of the island, the border of the island is blue. They want to turn everything into conservation by the water. And conservation means no building, no farming, no people. The green is natural. Again, no farming, no building. They want it natural. They don't want it to change at all. And then the brownish yellow, see that brownish yellow color, that is it's stated for rural. We don't know what that means, rural, but we think it's a buffer zone for smart cities is what we think that area is, but we're not sure what that is. We have been absolutely fighting against this, going to our general plan, trying to talk about what this really means for the people. I'll just say a few other things. There's an actual sentence that reads, lands designated for acquisition by public agencies for conservation and natural resource protection. So they want to acquire people's land, and they want to incentivize, which means raising taxes, because that's the only thing that they can incentivize people with, to buy electric vehicles. So they want to do zero emissions on the Hawaii by, I believe it's 2040. Zero emissions. And you don't, if anybody knows Hawaii at all, we have a lot of off-grid places here, so we use a lot of propane. There's no way an electric vehicle is going to be able to pull a boat out of the water. There's no way that we have semi-trucks and buses. I mean, the amount of energy it's going to cost people to charge a bus or a semi-truck.
Oh my God, I don't even want to think about it.
We already have issues with our grid. We're already closing off the grid right now to this day.
Yeah.
So this is what's coming. Check your plan. I just want to let people know, check your plan. We're fighting this on Big Island, tooth and nail. We're fighting this. And so just look at what's coming in your area.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, well, I've been saying, and me and a few others been saying, what's happening in South Africa is the petri dish for what they want for America, and so, often, and I'm going to say too often, what happens in South Africa happens mirrors right here in the United States. And one thing they're doing over in South Africa is what they call load shedding, which is a fancy term for rolling blackouts. Well, part of that's because they can't maintain the grid. I mean, they wanted equality so bad after apartheid, so they fired anybody and everybody who knew what they were doing if they were white, replaced them with black people who were not trained on the specific task, and now they've had so many power stations collapse because they can't maintain them, because they've done this all in the name of what? Equality.
So it's a farce.
Yeah, it's a big farce. It's a big farce.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I'll share with you guys for our last 15 is how they're getting away with this, like what they need us to believe in order for them to get away with this. And
the lies that they feed you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and take our last break, and we'll be back in about a minute and a half.
That was great.
Absolutely. we are back, and to wrap it up here, Michelle's got a little bit more that she'd like to show us. And if this isn't making your skin crawl, there's something wrong with you. So
Yeah, yeah. Please, yeah. Check your local planning department. So let me go to screen share again and show you guys the last part of this, and just double checking that it's in there when you guys are ready. Okay, great. So I'll go down to what they need us to believe in climate change. They absolutely need us to believe in climate change, because what happens is this climate change is the foundation for all of it,
Of
And
course.
what happened with the Hawaii governor went to the United Nations to talk about climate change and say climate change was the reason for the Maui fire. When does a governor go to the United Nations because a disaster happened in his state and he tells the United Nations, oh, it's because of climate change? Like, when did that happen? Like, never. This is why I started doing this research, because I'm like, that he is completely lying. So let me just show you what I found out about climate change. There's no climate emergency. This is a World Climate Declaration signed by credentialed scientists. You actually had to show your credentials that you were an actual scientist. Over 1,960 signatures from around the world, 444 from the United States. I believe it was 150 from the UK. But there's a whole, if you go to World Climate Declaration, just click on World Climate Declaration, and you will see all the signatories from around the world. It'll show you the country and how many signed this. This is what it says: to believe the outcome of a climate model is to believe what the model makers have put in. This is precisely the problem of today's climate discussion, to which climate models are central. Climate science has degenerated into a discussion based on beliefs, not on sound critical science. Should not we free ourselves from the naive belief in immature climate models? They need us to believe in climate change, because that's how everything will be coming in through the planning departments. So there was a lawsuit against the global warming documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. There was a teacher that she did not want to teach this in his school. It was a man, and he took them to court, and a British judge ruled that there were 9 errors in this movie. One being the fact that Kilimanjaro is not melting as fast as they said that it is, but another being that CO2 is not the reason for global warming. That CO2 actually lags behind the temperature of the Earth, so by about 800 to 2,000 years. It's not the CO2 is not the cause of global warming. It's actually the symptom of the Earth warming. So let me just show you guys something. Well, first, John Coleman. John Coleman was the first weatherman in the 1970s. He was the first weatherman on Good Morning America. He received the Meteorologist of the Year award in 1984. He was the founder of the Weather Channel. He's been on CNN and numerous other major mainstream media, and he says there's no significant global warming. Also, this is from the National Library of Medicine on August 4th, 2020, and they say modern grand solar minimum will lead to terrestrial cooling. Terrestrial means the Earth. This is a whole report, you guys, a whole report with charts and everything that literally says from the National Library of Medicine that the world is actually cooling. Here is another proof that the world is curling. This is from Dr. David Dilley, Professor David Dilley, 50-year meteorologist and climatologist with the U.S. Air Force. He also has more. He's done more with weather. His resume is huge. But this is the Milankovitch cycle. The Milankovitch cycle shows that the Earth was closer to the sun 8,000 years ago, and that we're going into a cooling phase, not warming phase. This is from Dr. David Dilley. So they need us to believe. I just want to stop that for now. They do need us to believe in climate change, because that is how that's how the thing is going down. That's how the plan for Hawaii General Plan is going down. There's the whole foundation for Hawaii General Plan is based on climate change. That we are killing the world because of what we're doing, and it's just simply not true. And if you don't believe it, I've actually testified numerous times at our planning department. I've shared all this information with our planning department. They asked the general plan manager, where did you get your information on climate change? And she pauses for a second and she goes and she's talking to her assistant, whisper, whisper, whisper. And then she says, we got it from the state. We got it from the state. No, because I'm telling them, I'm saying they're getting this information from the state. They're not getting it from expert climatologists, meteorologists, and other scientists. So, but all of this information is in my book, Great Maui Land Grab. You can get your copy at greatmauilandgrabbook.com and save 10% with the coupon code TRUTH. And this is something that is a second edition with all of this information about climate change, smart cities, and 15-minute cities, and who is running the show and what we can do about it. Because I'm very much a believer that we can stop this. It's going to take all of us, though, to step up.
Well, I'm wondering what's next. If you think climate change is fake, you must be a racist. They're probably going to throw that at us.
That's fine. That's fine with me because I'm showing them exactly, I looked this up. Anybody can find this information. Anybody can find this information. It's out there. You just, when I started studying this and researching it, I really wanted to get the best, most credentialed information so that the people who think about, oh, this is a conspiracy theorist, they cannot refute the National Library of Medicine saying the world is cooling. They can't refute that. A 50-year meteorologist showing the Milekovich cycle of how the Earth is going orbitally around the sun, and they can't refute that. The John Coleman, who was the founder of the Weather Channel. Come on. So it's like, so that's why the research and resources that I found, they're stuff that people just they can't go, oh, that's bogus.
Yeah. John, this is the quietest I think I've ever seen. Of course, you and I are kind of like in a classroom during this episode. So.
Yeah, just take it in, man. But I would like to go back to what you said about electricity rates going up due to the payouts and stuff. And, for anybody that's listening to this that might live in Hawaii, or yourself, if you have groups of people that are interested, electricity is commonly regulated by the state. And for them to get price increases, they've got to get approvals through a commission. You do have a Public Utilities Commission in the state of Hawaii, in which case you guys can probably go to them and say, hey, look, we don't want price hikes. We don't need price hikes, and make your case. And it's possible that they can suffer the burden and you not get the price hikes.
I love that you said that, because right after the fire, they passed a bill that Hawaii Electric can actually raise their rates.
Oh, of course, they did.
Yes, they did. Yes. So I love that you brought that up, because I forgot to mention that there were numerous people that were complaining about this, and that's what they did. They put that through.
The key is to be involved, and that's the problem with us as a society. We're too wrapped up into our watching Simpsons and drinking our beers and not paying attention to what goes on in government. That's federal, that's local, that's state. You've got to be involved in your government. Politics affects your life. Politics affects your form of business. And most business people get involved in regulations and politics and congressmen and things like that because they want to protect their business. And as long as the average man does not get involved, guess what the average man gets? They get crapped on just like everybody else. You get involved.
I think that's by design, because when people are just trying to put food on the table and they're just running the hamster wheel of trying to pay their bills and trying to pay their mortgage, I tell people, I say downsize, get into a smaller house, get rid of stuff you don't need, try to pay off your bills and do stuff that you can downsize. I live in a community where one person takes care of, something. I have somebody does the trash, somebody does this, somebody does that, and we all pull our money. My food bill is super cheap, cheap because we all pull our money together and we all have dinners together. And this is totally downsizing. So this is why I can do the work that I do. I can do the research. I could never have written this book if I didn't live in community like this, because it gave me the time to research this and then to go to the planning departments to know what I'm going to say and then to get that information out there as well. Because the other website I have is called standtogetherhawaii.com for locals, for us to know what's happening. But that's the number one thing I tell people is you got to downsize so you have time to make a stand for your children and your future.
So you got the right idea, community involvement. So you educate each other, you keep each other informed. And when it's time to take action, you're ready to do it. You're ready to go out there and contact your representatives, your senators, or go to your commissions and put your foot down on them, because that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take to take back our states, to take back our governments, to take back our country. Trump is by himself. And obviously the governor's all wrapped up with the UN, like you said earlier. We've got a problem there with the United Nations. And we see the United Nations, they accept things like World Economic Forum and all the corporations for input, for the direction. So we have like corporate fascism going on a global level, and we're accepting of that. We need to stop doing that.
Yep, absolutely. 100%. And being involved, you have to. Otherwise, you are compliant. You are compliant in allowing fascism to take over your world, all of it.
Absolutely. Real quick here before we run out of time too, because we were looking at that map of the Big Island and how it looks like they want the majority of it to be unoccupied. I mean, going from one side to the other. I mean, I'm just curious about how many square miles is the Big Island of Hawaii, because Hawaii is actually considered one of the smaller states.
Yeah, Hawaii is, but not Big Island. Big Island, you can actually fit all the other islands into Big Island. Going all the way around, you know what? I don't know the mileage. Going all the way around takes about 5 hours. Going straight through takes two hours to go from Hilo to Kona, which are both on opposite ends of the island. But yeah, it's quite mind blowing. They want 3,000 feet and above to be all conservation. They've actually, the planning department has already sent locals a letter stating that their land use is going to change from residential to recreation, which means when they go to sell their property or when they go to will their property to their children, the property value drops because it's no longer residential. So this is the stuff that I was telling people. If this was you and you got a letter, you've got to be at that planning department and start complaining. And what's great about these planning commissioners is that they're volunteers and they're regular people like us, and they're starting to ask the right questions, and they're listening to us. So I always pray. In fact, my book, Great Maui Land Grab, has a prayer at the end of every chapter, because this is an absolute spiritual war. And I know that we can stop this, and it's going to take all of us just having the courage to stand up and speak out. And we're doing that.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time. Michelle, I want to thank you very much for joining us. And once again, go ahead and plug your website.
GreatMauiLandGrabBook.com, and put truth, TRUTH, into the coupon code and get 10% off. Share it with your ohana, share it with your neighbors. Anybody who is a normie and doesn't know what's going on would really benefit from getting this book.
Absolutely. So on tap for next week, we'll be speaking with Elias Alias, formerly of the Oath Keepers, and that's going to be an awesome conversation. But we are definitely out of time. We'll see you next week. And as I always say, God save the Republic of the United States of America.
Yes.
Events of recent history indicate that Americans are setting a course for the end of their own great nation. The ever-growing trend in this country is to judge people not by their individual character, but by their identity as a member of a specific group. No one has ever succeeded or failed in life as a result of their group affiliation. A person's success or failure is also not based on luck, but on the sum total of the decisions that they have made. Those who succeed do so through good work work ethic, and the wise use of their power to choose. The opposite is true of those who fail. The ideals of individual accountability and responsibility in the United States are dying every day. A gun cannot be responsible for a death, just as a shovel cannot be responsible for digging a ditch. Both are only tools and have no will of their own. Responsibility is an adjunct of conscious choice and is the price we pay for freedom. Freedom is also a tool. It's an essential tool that is needed by human beings if they are to prosper rather than to merely survive. Yet there are those who would rather trade their freedom for security. Some believe that it is the responsibility of government to provide freedom. In truth, we form government to ensure and protect the freedom that is already inherently ours.